All right.
Here we are.
Whee!
We are back. It's been a while. And we don't have Snazzy with us this week. So we've got the Skeleton Man, the Great Skeleton Man, even. So everybody, say hi to Skelly, everybody.
Hi, Skelly.
Eat Your Meats and Hylian Pickles are here, as usual. And, man, we're a little bit rusty. So give us a chance to shake some of the rust off. You guys can all hear us all right out there, hopefully. It's been a while since we've done this, so I feel like I forgot to open, like, everything. So, I hope everybody's doing well. This is episode 30 of the podcast, which is kind of a big deal. 30 is a good number. It feels good to be back. Sorry for the long hiatus and break. If anybody's ever curious about what's going on with the podcast, you can always just look at my Twitter, The Sunny Machine. I'll tweet about whether or not something's going on in my life and we can't make it or whatever. I try not to, use we do have a Twitter for the IQ channel, but I try to keep that to just like, the basics, things that are happening. And so sometimes we have a personal thing going on, and if it happens to me, that kind of kills the whole podcast, unfortunately, for a while. So, but things are better now, and we're back. This week's episode, we're going to be talking about. Let's see, Skelly's muted. You guys can't hear them. You guys talk.
I'm not muted.
Hello.
You guys hear that?
Hello.
Test.
Yeah, they should be able to hear you. So
I muted myself while you were talking to ask chat if they could hear you guys okay.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, that was a purposeful decision.
So everybody, Skeleton Man is streaming right now live on Twitch on his channel to accommodate his schedule, and when he normally streams, we invited him to be able to stream on his channel at the same time. So if you guys want, you can go watch the podcast over on the Great Skeleton Man's Twitch channel right now.
Then you can watch it twice at the same time. Wow, what an opportunity.
Wow.
Meow.
Twice the podcast for double the bandwidth.
That's right. Yeah.
What a deal.
Oh, okay. So today's topic, we're going to be discussing quite a, myriad of different things that all have to do with dipping your toes into creation. And we want to kind of see what all of our perspectives, this is going to be very opinion based, but I think the conversation is worth having because I don't think anybody's really an expert on this. And anybody who tells you that they're an expert on the internet or social media or platforms in general, they're not. Even the people like, oh man, I could really get into this. I don't want to be too toxic, but there's like master classes that you can pay like hundreds of dollars for on websites to learn stuff by like massively big creators and streamers. And the information is like the same as the free videos on YouTube, or worse, like just like, you got to be famous. That's the first trick, right?
Step one, already be famous.
Yeah, already be famous. So we're going to be covering the different platforms a bit today and kind of doing a little bit of a comparison from the lens of Twitch itself, using Twitch as a platform to create on, I guess. So I guess I just want to get a general idea from each of you how you feel about the internet right now and being a creator, because that's kind of the general concept. Is what's going on? Do you guys feel like being a content creator is in a good space right now, or like a good thing? Like, how do you guys feel? Let's start with Skelly, since you're our guest. Tell us how you feel. How do you feel about all these platforms and all this choice?
I think that's a complicated question,
Yes, it is.
if I'm honest with you, because it really depends, right? I think that if you are currently a heavy income, like your whole income comes from streaming, you're big streamer. I don't mean you're managing. I mean like you're one of the millionaires, right? Like they're making a lot of money. I think that choice is only beneficial to your business strategy. If for making money, for the act of making money. Now, Do I think that the current world as it currently relates is good for a number of different things? No. I think even for these big people, I think that the current attitude, nature of it, this stream 5 billion hours and, just like the culture, it's like, I'm going to be in the I'm going to be in the fizzy drink 100K tournament representing Team Black Cherry is like a cringe thing to see someone say. You know what I mean? Like, it's worse. At least with NASCAR drivers, like, it's kind of funny, like how their suits look. You know what I mean? You're like, you're buying 5 inches on my arm, like, but like when you're a Twitch streamer, you're like trying to pretend that you're not bought and paid for, or any streamer, right? Any streamer, YouTube, whatever, right?
True.
And I think that it's not healthy for the individual, and I think that it's created, if I'm honest, a not particularly great culture in gaming, right? I think that I'm an old school Justin TV boy. I used to watch a lot of streams back then, and it's just different now, and I don't think in a good way. But if your question is if someone our size, is it beneficial? Well, then I would say I think right now it's kind of difficult because I feel like you're always trying to figure out where the right place is to be, and they're all competing.
Yeah. More specifically, I want to know how you feel about like approaching so many different platforms all at once, and as a creator, like it's hard to kind of find home. I feel like between all these different platforms, you got TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, and now that YouTube's got shorts and Instagram's got video, and TikTok's got live streams. It's all over the place. It's kind of hard to figure out what should you focus on. Do you want to do everything all at once? Do you want to right? It just feels overwhelming. Is that right?
True. I would agree. That's why I said it's a complicated question, because it's like it depends on the context in which you're looking at. From that perspective, I definitely think that I think it's hard to know what to do and what the right move is at any given time, and you have to split your attention. I mean, as simple as me putting League clips on TikTok is, and it is. I mean, I get like 2,000, 1,000, 2,000 views for just a dumb jungle gank, or a failed tower dive will get like 2,000 views on TikTok. I still have to go and I have to take the clip and I have to do it and I have to edit it and I have to put it on there, right?
Yeah.
And like, and you're doing all of these different things, and everything you do just takes a little bit more of concentration away from something else. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, it's difficult, and everything. It's like, I think what I've heard in a lot of like entrepreneurial conferences I've been in, which is a little bit different than the streaming world, but they always say like your best bet in business is to be there before everyone else is. I think it's really hard to find where to go before everyone else is. TikTok's already big, YouTube's already big. You're either big on there or you're probably not going to succeed. But if you're in at the beginning, you're probably going to succeed. And I think that's tough. I think it's tough to know, is it too late? You know what I mean? Like, am I wasting my effort when I could try to find the next thing to dive into?
Yeah, these are all the things that like will run through your head eventually as a creator. Meats, are you on multiple platforms, or are you just stuck with Twitch?
Exist on more than one platform. I think, the challenge that I run into is time and consistency. So, if you don't have a 40-hour work week to devote to content creation, if you don't have a lot of skills to be really efficient in diversifying your content, it's an investment. And to speak to Skeleton's point, I think that, it is like be big or go home a lot of times, and trying to find the next big thing is such a high risk, high reward for someone if you have such a high value set for your time. So I occasionally post on YouTube. I am kind of active on Twitter. TikTok makes me feel like an old person, but
True.
And I've thought about getting into TikTok, but it's one of those things that I know if I start sitting in on TikTok, I will lose all of sense of time and space. So
Yeah. True.
You have to figure out what your ultimate goals are. And if it's diversifying and finding multiple income streams, then sometimes that might mean trying to find more time in your week. And that may or may not be doable for you. And for me, currently it's not really viable unless my family or my, job that actually pays me money suffers.
Right. Yeah. The trade-offs are always kind of like, it's like a weird balancing act between trying to figure out personal time. And when we all do this stuff, we're like self-employing. It's like we're all in charge of our own situation, and it can be really, really difficult. I think even every week I see somebody on Twitter posting some twit longer where they're like, I haven't done this right. I haven't taken care of myself well. I have to take a step back. I got to shift perspective. This is not right. Like it eats at you because time management is so important. So we could probably do an entire episode on that.
Well, I think that's true. And just to comment on that, I think that what people forget is like time management matters, but time management even matters for just free time, right? Like
Yeah.
if you occupy every moment of your life with something you have to be doing, you will never have time for the things that you want to be doing.
Right.
Sometimes you need like I love to play League. I play it on stream. That's fine. But sometimes I want to like just get drunk and play League and not have to look at my chat. You know what I mean? And like, and it's like, yeah, I played League for 5 days this week. I'm gonna play it a sixth, but this time by myself.
Yeah.
It's like you need a little bit of that time of your own too, and you have to schedule that.
Yeah. Where are you at with all this, Pickles?
I'm one of the people who hates the term content and the idea of content creation and being a content creator,
Yeah.
because I think that it's too broad of a term that applies to so many things that
Well,
it forces
is that true?
us.
What does it apply to? What are you assuming it applies to? If not, just
People use it to describe anything.
But isn't it
That's
always
just
like
on the internet?
Yeah. But it's
Like
not just
creator. Create some content.
So you mean like people overuse the term when describing something as simple as just like them complain tweeting or something, and that's not.
Yeah.
It's not
Like
content.
people complain about something on Twitter, and that's content. Or they'll
So would
do
would
a
engagement
reaction
creators
video.
better there, you think?
No, just tweeting.
Can I put out a thought regarding that?
Sure.
Because I think I relate to what you're saying, and I wonder if the way I view it will ring true for you.
Right.
I also, to a degree, don't like that term, but not because I think that the term is wrong. Because listen, I'm going to be real. When someone says content creator, there's an archetype of person you think of. If someone says content creator, I think YouTuber, streamer, TikTok person. I don't think some idiot who posts memes on Twitter. He might call himself a content creator, but no one's going to jump to that conclusion on their own. Now,
Sure.
that said, right? There's a culture that comes with that terminology, and that culture, to me, is pretty cringe.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah, I don't like it. I feel like this is a struggle I have, and tell me if any of you feel this way, but sometimes I feel like I love being live. I love talking to my chat. Really, that's what it really is. Like, I started playing League on stream because I was like, I just want to talk to people while I play League. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to do that, but I want to play League. And I love that. But what I don't really like is how fucking fake it all is, and how people are kind of cringe. There's like a stereotype you're supposed to exude, which is different if you're an entertainer, right? Like, you can think of a YouTuber. Tell me if you don't think I can immediately think of a YouTuber who I don't think of them like a content creator, but they do only make YouTube content, quote unquote, and they are very entertaining and they're successful. But I don't think of them like I would a YouTuber, right? They're very educated, they're very informational, or they run a show, they run a show that happens to also be on YouTube, but they're not really. I mean, like, I don't even really agree with the guy on a lot of things, but Sam Cedar, the Majority Report is more like a TV show that he happens to put on YouTube. It's a politics TV show. I don't
Yeah.
think of him as a content creator, but all his success is on YouTube.
Well, I mean, like if we just focus on YouTube, just even within that umbrella, like so many people are considered content creators in like the same way, but there's such a varying degree of things that are on there, like to your point, that aren't, for lack of a better term, created equally. Because there's like somebody who watches a 30-second TikTok and then makes a goofy face at the camera and farms hundreds of thousands of views, and then there's somebody who like spends a year and a half working on some passion project and it ends up being like really good, and then they're lumped into the same category. And if you just talk about it and broadly, it's all content, right?
Content, yeah.
Right.
Like it's some things on YouTube are closer to movies and TV shows and art than they are what I would consider content, which is the guy reacting to 30-second TikTok.
I call that guy goes watch till the end.
Yeah. And I just don't like the idea of putting those on the same level. And I think because so many people do, just because we use the term so liberally, that creates this idea that we, as people making things on the internet, need to make a Twitch stream and a YouTube and a TikTok and an Instagram and a Facebook Live and a this and that and whatever. And I don't think that we all need to burn ourselves out trying to grab every platform we can to try and turn it into something, you know.
Tend to agree, but I think the thing that we push up against a lot of times is, unfortunately, there's this assumption, or not assumption, there's this prevalence of quantity over quality, right? So
Yeah.
if you upload 2 masterpieces a year from an algorithmic perspective in most of these media platforms, chances are it's not going to get seen nearly as much as someone who uploads meh stuff very frequently. So this actually almost pushes you to create more frequently less high quality content or less thoughtful content, because it's the kind of the quote unquote easier way of creating things that fall on people's eyes. So there's really that push and pull there too, that you feel a pressure to just put something out because you should put something out. People want to see you put things out, but is it really anything that you can be proud of? It's hard to say.
True. Yeah.
Just go viral.
I think it'll. Well,
There you go. Jeez.
Problem solved.
someone in my chat mentioned this. They're saying that, but it's always going to be a matter of audience. How much people are willing to spend on yours could make. You could make a great piece of art, but you can't make people watch it, and it takes different amounts of effort to enjoy some things. I think that's true, but also I think that a big part of it is, I've always said this: there's an audience for anything, but it's about finding that audience,
Right.
and that's the hard part, right? Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with guy goes watch till the end, but I think that that's a particular kind of audience, right?
Yeah.
And then more intellectual content is a different kind of audience. I actually, as a streamer, struggle with this. As a person, I greatly crave a mixture of casual humor and deep intellectualism, and if I get only one of those things in a given time period, I become starved for the other. Right? Which makes it very difficult to find exactly where I am, because one day I'm talking to Faraz Khan for 3 hours about the in-depth nature of the issues of Ukraine. And then later I'm saying naughty words while playing League of Legends, right? What's the audience for those two things? They may exist, right? But you see that, like, generally people always show up for one kind of content to almost anything. And I think that can be really difficult, to find that correct audience. If you get what I mean, if I'm articulating myself.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people recognize that kind of struggle as, like, people who make stuff. They recognize that struggle, and that's why I think they try to put as many irons in the fire as they can.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah.
like-
Yeah, I don't know. I don't try to get too hung up on being bothered by what people are calling themselves. It's the whole world is just full of people who call themselves stuff when it's not true. And it's pretty.
agree.
It's pretty common. So I've run into a lot of people who are self-proclaimed video editors, and maybe they taught themselves how to use like Windows Media Editor or whatever the heck it was back in the day. Or they've dabbled a little bit in some software, but everybody has a camera and they call themselves a photographer. It's not quite. I don't know. I try not to get too hung up on that stuff, but I do agree that there's a big divide between like what a content creator, what that term should mean, what that should describe, and then what people are using it to describe is there's a pretty big divide for sure.
I think that I just want to say, like, I think that my point was to express that I agree with you, Sonny. I just agree with everything you say. But I felt like that Pickles, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here. I feel like your objections were actually more philosophical or esoteric in nature than they were about the specifics of the term. I don't think you hate the term. I think you hate the culture around the term.
Yeah.
If I'm correct. And I agree with that as well. So I think that you're both right.
Yeah.
And I'm not being
nobody's wrong.
political.
No.
I think too the term like content creator is just such a huge umbrella generic term, and if you said that to like 50 people on the street, they would all have a different idea of what that means, because a lot of people consider content creation synonymous with like influencers, right? Which I would not, right? Or maybe it's just based on the platform that they're familiar with. So it's such a generic term. It's like, I am a human on the internet. That's pretty much what content creator means.
Yeah,
right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it always bears explanation, but people may not even
It's
know
so
that
generic.
they should have one.
But we don't have a good replacement. Like YouTuber doesn't cover it anymore, and Twitch streamer doesn't cover it anymore, because it's not really enough to be on one platform doing one thing.
I think if you make entertainment content, you can just call yourself an entertainer, and it's
Sure.
that easy.
Yeah.
It's that
Okay,
easy, right?
so let's-
if you're a teacher, then you teach.
Yeah. Let's dig into the platforms individually a little bit and try to pick apart where things are at and how to maybe utilize this stuff. I think we all probably can agree that no matter how you feel about a platform, it's probably a good idea to, if you're going to be a creator, entertainer, try to do something on the platforms that are out there and see if it fits with you. One of the platforms that's like kind of a joke in my mind, but it's obviously a good platform for reach and for exposure, it's TikTok. How do you guys feel about TikTok? Yeah, I mean, me too.
I think the problem with all of the different platforms is trying to get people to go to the other platforms.
Well, that's not obviously. Yeah, there's this.
Sure,
You're
like,
never gonna have.
You'll get TikTok specifically. You will get a lot more eyes on it than you would expect. But the way TikTok is designed, it's designed to be scrolled past anyway.
Right.
Because it's so short. So I feel like what's the word I'm looking for? The hooks that you get into people to keep coming back to see more of your TikToks are fairly superficial, because they can just as easily like not watch anything you put out ever again, because
that's
there's
true of any
plenty of
platform.
other stuff.
That's true of all the platforms.
It's a lot more rapid, I think.
That can be a good and a bad thing, I think, to some degree, because if you stream for 4 hours and 100 people stop by, only like 3 or 4 of those people are coming back.
Sure.
So if you can get 100 people to look at your TikToks and you can get one person to come back, you're pretty close to the same return. And the investment on TikTok is so much lower, right?
I also don't know the monetary potential of TikTok.
There is none. It's horrible.
Okay, well, there you go.
I know very big TikTokers that don't make any money off the platform. Not directly, not from the platform, their success on TikTok has converted into monetary opportunities, sponsorships, and relationships for them to create money. But TikTok directly is horrible, and their live streaming payoffs and all that stuff is really bad too. So, but that's a whole other conversation. I think I just don't think it's a good idea to write off a platform that's as easy as it is for to create stuff on TikTok. It takes not very much time. The amount of time it takes to make a TikTok is very low compared to making an entire Twitch stream or a YouTube video. So the return on investment, I think it's probably a decent place for people to put some energy. I don't think they should put too much energy there, but you're not losing very much either. I mean, literally, I just lay in my bed at night and like make a quick TikTok, and if a few hundred people see that, then cool, because I think at this point we're not playing a platform game anymore. I think we're playing just the hey, I want to be discovered thing, right? Like if you're a streamer or you're a content creator, whatever you're doing, like you want to be able to just be successful and create a community around you. And I'm kind of platform agnostic when it comes to doing that. I think people should do it wherever it works. I think there are problems with TikTok as a platform, but that's a different discussion. The question is like how should you invest your time as a creator? So I don't know. I think it's very easy. It's very quick to make a TikTok. If you can fit it into your schedule very easily, maybe you should try and just see how it goes and give up if it doesn't work after a while. But it's much easier to make a TikTok and a lot less of an investment than like streaming. Streaming is so incredibly, it's crazy because we watch these. There's lots. How many streamers do we know that stream to 2 viewers for years? Right? It's like they're streaming 30, 40, 60 hours a week to nobody. That's a that's a long time. That's a very, very huge time investment with very little return. Do you guys let's that's the dirty one. I wanted to get that one out of the way. We're going to work towards the better platforms here. Instagram will be a quick one too. How do you guys feel about Instagram as from a Twitch streamer perspective? Do you feel like it's valuable to have one?
From a Twitch streamer perspective? No.
Yeah.
I think if you're already very famous, it's another avenue. I don't think it's of any value to someone my size, right? Like I think that any platform that just gives you more avenues to advertise from, people are going to, like if you're Dr. Disrespect, right? Or if you're Markiplier, if you're JonTron, if you're someone big on a platform, it's another avenue. People will follow on there. You tell people you've got it, they will follow on there, and you can post whatever garbage you want to. And if once a month someone says, "Hey, I'll pay you, $10,000 to talk about my foot flavored energy drink," and you go like, "Sure, whatever," and then you go, "Hey guys, I tried this out, it wasn't that bad, feet are kind of cool, I have a foot fetish," and then they're gonna be like, "Oh sweet, me too," and they're gonna buy your foot flavored energy drink, and then you go back to posting whatever you want. I think that's fine, and I think it is smart. It's a smart business because it's free, right? You don't have to do a whole lot, but I don't think it matters for growth as like someone here. I don't think being big on Instagram really transfers to like playing League of Legends, or anything like that.
I struggle to find the discoverability in Instagram to be satisfying. So I've kind of reserved Instagram more to be like people I actually know, because anything branching beyond that, the discoverability seems very challenging unless, like Skeleton already said, unless you're already really large.
Agreed.
The algorithm just doesn't seem to really have much of anything going on.
I would say there's a mechanism that Instagram plays that can have some value for a streamer, where if you're a channel somebody is kind of stumbled upon, and you do have an Instagram link in your profile, it may be an avenue for a new viewer to kind of try to quickly judge you and get to know who you are based upon like your Instagram feed, if you do have one. Just kind of see at a glance the investigative viewer, I guess is what we'll call them. Like I think it can benefit some streamers to have an Instagram in that way, but I wouldn't use it for discoverability or anything like that. And it's always better if you don't even have an Instagram, it could just be better for, or you're not, publicly sharing it on your Twitch page. It can be better to have, or it could be helpful because then they're not leaving the stream to figure out who you are, right?
Right.
You almost.
I think that what you're saying is probably true from like a potential perspective. I think when you talk about like, it's easier to make garbage on TikTok that people want to see than I think making interesting Instagram posts that will give you that what you're talking about. Like, you'd have to be documenting your life like a normal Instagram person at that point, which in and of itself takes time and energy. I don't have the energy for that or the time. When am I even going to have time to take a good Instagram photo? I mean, like, never. I'm working in my chair being fat, or I'm working in my office where I can't show you guys my office.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's proprietary information all over the place. I can't show anyone that. So when am I going to do that?
Yeah. Okay.
Probably. Yeah.
So I think we all can agree that it's Instagram's. For me, Instagram is like Facebook 2.0 or like a simplified version of Facebook, which is, we're not even going to talk about Facebook. There's no point.
It's Facebook for millennials versus Facebook is for boomers.
Yeah.
Sorry, Meta.
Yeah.
It's called Meta now.
Yeah. Oh, true. But I think we've got the two kind of like, I don't know, less important platforms out of the way. I think the bigger one that we need to talk about, especially from a competitive space towards Twitch, and for your attention, would be YouTube. So how much YouTube content do you guys all consume?
A good amount.
Yeah, a good amount. Mm-hmm.
Every day you watch YouTube?
I'd say so, yeah.
Many days.
What was that, Meets?
Many days, yeah, absolutely. It's definitely, and I find myself, especially if I'm looking on Twitch and there's nobody I want to watch for some reason, or if I'm not in the mood to interact with people, then YouTube's like the backup. You know what I mean?
I watch a lot of like, instead of trying to catch them live, like there's various debate people that I'll follow, and I'll just watch the video that they post rather than try to catch them live. I actually hate live debates because sometimes sometimes they're just like so obnoxious. Like some guy, Andrew Tate's going off being red pill insane, and I'm like, buddy, I just want to hear when the person you're debating
talks,
crushes you. That's what I want to hear. And so I'm like, let me fast forward.
Yeah.
But if it's live, I got to listen to the whole dang thing, and I don't want to do that. So there's something to be said for the ability to like skip things you're not interested in a big video,
Mm-hmm.
True. Very true. Yeah. I watch a ton of YouTube. I have YouTube on all the time.
Actually, some of my favorite people are on there. Even though they do stream, I don't watch their stream. I only watch their YouTube videos.
True. Yeah. Same.
There are a lot of YouTubers that are like really bad at Twitch.
True.
Yeah.
Isn't that an interesting thing? There are some people, actually going back to the debate thing, where I'll see them on these big debate panels, debating all of these really like big people. Sorry, someone just just subbed with a big message. I muted it. But like they're like on these big debate panels with these like famous people, and I'm hearing some white noise from you, Sonny.
Yeah, it's the air conditioner. Sorry.
It's okay. And so I will I'll see these big debate like streamers, right? And they're like on there, and then I go actually look at their stream, and it's like, it's really bad. Like, it's like really like no production value, camera quality bad, like, and I'm just sort of sitting there and I'm just like, this is interesting. You're not very actually good at this, but your YouTube videos are really good.
Well, yeah, there's it's a different type of interaction too. So some people are able to look really impressive and polished and personable with editing and a script, but live, it's a totally different thing. You actually have to be, thoughtful and interactive and spontaneously entertaining. And that is sometimes a totally different skill set for people.
For sure.
Disgusting. I would never be caught dead interacting with people. That's horrible.
People. Ugh.
I hate my chat.
Don't we all? At times, let's be honest. Yeah, I think YouTube has a lot of value, and I think it's probably the only platform that is actually... There are avenues for growth still, because it's such a massive audience. It's way, way bigger than any of us realize. I mean, a lot of the older generation are starting to use YouTube now. Like, they're starting to realize. My parents, like, just this year started watching a lot more YouTube, and it's like they don't realize. The cat videos are starting to get to the boomers.
It's really funny when my mother will send me a video that's like, this is what's going on astrologically. And I'll be like, all right, let's see this. And it's like the most like piss poor produced video. Like the person's just like talking to their phone. The thumbnail looks like something that like a child made in MS Paint. And this person is like getting 50,000 views a video. They're posting daily. And you're just like, what am I looking at? This isn't even edited. Like, what the hell is going on here? Yeah, it's like and all the comments are boomer comments.
Yeah.
You know the kind I'm talking about. You know what they look like.
I think
True.
it is important to try and figure out a place to be with YouTube as a Twitch streamer. I feel like those two platforms complement each other really well. And I don't think you're supposed to dump your VODs on YouTube. I think you can like have a channel to dump VODs on, but they should be a separate channel, and you should have a channel that's actually like YouTube content that you want to be a focus, I guess. I don't think you have to do more than just one video a week to be successful, as long as it's in the right space. As long as there's room in that space for you to be a creator over there. And there's not like, I don't know, gaming videos. There's just so many gaming videos on YouTube. But there's plenty of room for, reviews on TV shows or just anything you ever look up on YouTube. And obviously, there's always room for teaching on YouTube. YouTube's the best for like if you want to teach people how to do something. Even if there's like 10 videos on it, there are like half of those videos are going to be old or bad or just bad production. So if you can bring the production quality up, or maybe the people just will like you explaining it the way you explain it better than other people did, or maybe they miss stuff and you can cover other stuff. I don't know. I just feel like there's more opportunity to make. I feel like it's actually easier to see a path from 0 to successful on YouTube than there is on Twitch. I think Twitch is just like gambling. And
How do you define success for those platforms?
well, okay, so 6,000 to 10,000 views a video, which is reasonable. That's not a lot. But
You picked that number out of curiosity.
well, because I know channels with 6,000 to 10,000 views on each video, and they have sponsors. Does anybody here have a sponsor?
On YouTube? No.
Anywhere?
Nope.
Yeah.
I mean, the weekly thing is just it's a hard habit to get into. I think for a lot of people, especially if
Yep.
I don't know, I don't feel as comfortable recording things. Like I've tried a few times, and I just like usually I end up starting to say something like, "Hey, it's Eat Your Meats," and I start cursing because I can't even think of what to say or do.
Yeah.
So
Scripts help.
Yeah, but then you got to write the script.
Yes, you
and
do.
Then you got to
Yeah.
read the script.
Yeah.
And then you got to follow the script. And then you
Yeah.
got to edit out all the F words
Yeah.
that you said because you didn't follow the script.
My most successful
hard.
YouTube videos had no script. I just opened up the microphone and started talking. Like all of my Arcane reviews, I did not.
Yeah.
All I did, I walked down from my bedroom after watching that like 3 episode clumps that they were releasing it in, and I just hit record. And I just went.
I mean, you're not
but
wrong. You're not wrong though. Like both of you are right. What Skeleton Man is basically saying is, you have to find a process that works for you that can get it done. And I don't think you actually have to be a video editor. I think you could. I mean, you only need to make like a 10 to 20 minute video. You could sit down and set up OBS to do a lot of the work for you, just like we do in stream. You know,
I'm a perfectionist.
I know, and that makes it harder. So, and I am too. I only get YouTube videos done when I have a plan. I have to have a plan, and I don't make a full-on script. I make bullet points so I don't forget to mention certain things. But I think that the trick is you have to have a formula, and you have to have a process. But so does a Twitch stream. If you're going to have a successful Twitch stream, that has to have a formula and a process too, right? I mean, you got to set up your bot, your stream, your starting soon stuff, your alerts. That's all formulaic, and that's all planning. It just feels like you're done. But the real trick is you're never really done with any of this stuff, right? It's always an ongoing process. And you don't have to be perfect coming out of the gate. You just got to get started. The real trick with YouTube, and it's similar to Twitch, right? You don't want to just be in Fortnite. Let's be fair. You don't want to stream Fortnite on Twitch, right? You don't want to stream these oversaturated games. Now, you might get lucky and get on some recommended thing. You might have some level of discoverability from some of the new features that Twitch is going to roll out here soon, and that could help a lot. But if you do really oversaturated content on YouTube, it's going to be much more difficult for you to be successful. It may happen, but it may take longer. It's much easier if you find a niche category on YouTube, and you focus there. You know, retro gaming, K-drama reviews, console mods and repair. You know, that kind of stuff. If you're going to go out there and try and be a musician, good luck, right? You're going to have a little bit of success, maybe here and there, pockets of some people finding out who you are. But
you know what, though? I think I agree with what you're saying from sort of like it's sort of shouting into the ether and hoping something shouts back.
Yeah.
But I've seen it happen, because that's exactly what happened with an artist I saw live. She opened for Mystery Skulls. She was just making stuff on YouTube because she was depressed and she wanted to make music. And then he listened to her, said, "Damn, this is good. Hey, you want to leave Korea and come tour America with me?" And she was like, "Yes." And now she's blowing up, right?
Right.
So yes, I'm not saying don't expect the die to land perfectly for you. It's gambling, but it can happen.
Sure,
I don't want to
can.
say that.
I just feel like there's more of a strategy you can employ on YouTube compared to Twitch.
I agree.
I mean, there's a strategy
on
Twitch that you can employ, but it's a lot less of it. It's a lot less obvious that it's working and when it or that it's going to work. With YouTube, you can be a lot more strategic, I think.
I think it's pretty interesting, actually, when you say that. I have a couple different things I wanted to say, because when you were talking, I wanted to say something about my experience on YouTube, but also something I've noticed is certain kinds of content can be oversaturated and actually be a good place to go.
True.
Still, and some can't. Something I've noticed, not for myself, because I post my TikToks as shorts as well, and they do well as League shorts, but actual YouTube videos, I've seen creators go from 0 to hero really fast in the League video world on YouTube. And I've also seen that with Rust a lot, but I don't see it with other stuff, right? A lot of other games, they don't have that. Making Fortnite videos I don't see that as much, but I see these creators who get big really fast in the Rust category, just making Rust videos. I see that with League, if they make lots of League gimmick videos, we're all going to do this, we're all going to do that, or I'm going to, talk about this one event, right, that happened, and I'm going to tell it like it's a story. So it's something to be said that I think it's different based on, don't assume one size fits all. Some things
true.
are going to be different.
Yeah.
But each category is different. Making Rust content is in and of itself very different experience than making Tarkov content, for example. I think it's harder to make interesting Tarkov content if you're not already famous or really, really skilled.
I think there's plenty of room in every category as long as you stick to it long enough and you do a good job. Because there's just millions of people on the platform. And eventually they're going to just like, it's either going to autoplay to your video just because they ran out of watch. There's only so many creators, right? If there's 300, people making videos on League of Legends every week, and you become number 301 making League of Legends videos on YouTube, how many millions of people are actually watching those videos?
Right.
It's a lot. So
Yeah.
I think there is room, especially if you can do it well. So I don't know.
One other thing, if you don't mind, I wanted to mention was in my experience on YouTube, my struggle, and I don't know if anyone else experiences this, is finding, because I'll make a video because it's fun to make, right? I just want to make it. But then I go, okay, well, is this something that is this is how much effort this takes. This is what the result of it is. Is this something I could do once a week, right? And that's where I'll sometimes find a struggle is it's like I had a one-off idea. I had a one-off shit post or whatever. Or I got motivated to do a review and that happened to do well. When I look at like how well my Cowboy Bebop review did versus my review of Arcane, it's like vastly different. My Arcane video is like shot to the moon, right? And then you go, okay, so what is this? Is this? And then of course with that, like a weekly review would be tough because I have to have always watched something or have something to review.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't always have that. So finding that repeatable process that works for you and is good and could, in theory, if you are regular enough, get the algorithm to favor you is tough. I think that if you are consistent on YouTube, the algorithm will eventually favor you because it really likes people who just post consistently.
Yes, it's definitely a quantity game with YouTube. It really is.
But finding that process, that repeatable process, I think that's hard.
Oh, absolutely it is.
For me, it's hard.
It is. I can't believe the amount of videos that I see from like a creator, like the next week, their next video is like the next challenge they did to their body, or like the next thing that they're. I tried intermittent fasting for 30 days. What did it do to me? And then the next video is I didn't clean my room for 2 months. What did it do to me? And it's like they just constantly.
I filled my large intestine with Orbeez.
Yeah.
Watch till the end.
Yeah. I'm just like, wow. They just keep doing stuff. They keep trying the next thing, and I don't know. It is. You're right. It is complicated. I think a lot of us are. One of the challenges is we don't want to repeat ourselves too much, but it can be okay to repeat yourself, right? Like a lot of the YouTube videos I watch, they're pretty repetitive, and you feel like, oh, the next video has to like be its own thing, and it shouldn't. You can't reuse anything that you've used before, and it's got to be so fresh. I don't know that that's actually true. I think it's okay to kind of have some repetition built into your content. So,
hold on. Did you mention content?
Yeah.
It's Pickle's favorite word.
It's true.
Yeah.
You know what I think? I think it's all about finding a rhythm. I think anything you do is about finding a rhythm that works for you. That's
Habits.
Still what I'm trying to. Yeah, and that's still what I'm trying to figure out. What is my rhythm that I can repeat? For a while I was doing a lot of those, like having guests on, and you've all been guests on my channel before, so and my biggest struggle is at a point I go, how do I make this interesting? So like I hadn't had Ty on in like months, and then he said, hey,
It's Pickles.
yeah, Pickles. I hadn't had Pickles on in a long time, and he said to me, hey, I want to talk about manga. There's some interesting stuff in manga. And I said, great. I don't know shit. Let's go. and it was an absolutely fantastic conversation. It really was really great. But that's the thing. You have to have a topic that's going to be fun to talk about. It doesn't always have to be political. It doesn't always have to be serious. Sometimes it can be. But you got to have something, right? And then in the meantime, what am I doing? I don't always have something interesting to talk about. So that's where I bring up that dichotomy from earlier, right? Where it's like sometimes I'm talking about something really in depth, and sometimes I'm making crass jokes, and that's all I've got for the day, and some cool ganks from the jungle, baby. Yeah, I'm going to the LCS. But like, I think that's it's hard to find that rhythm, whether it's with video content or streaming, because you have a schedule, you need to fill that schedule. How do you do that repeatedly to maintain that audience? That's where I struggle. I can completely admit that openly.
So I think this kind of like points us neatly into the last little piece of the discussion that I want to have about all of this stuff, so we can talk about any platform, but mostly Twitch here. I feel like there's this idea, the more you create, the longer that you are a streamer or a YouTuber, there's this idea of pressure, the pressure to create the next thing, the pressure to stream, the pressure to grow your stream, all of that. There's like kind of like it's like a pressure cooker. You feel like, do you guys feel that?
Yes.
Yeah, it definitely exists.
You feel pressured by being an entertainer?
Absolutely. And I think sometimes it almost like backfires, because there's days where I'm like, oh, I wouldn't mind just like sitting and chilling and streaming, but I also just don't feel entertaining today. Or, you're worried that, I don't usually stream on this night, so no one's going to show up. It's difficult, and it's a lot of pressure that we kind of place on ourselves too.
Yep. Yeah, and then you add on to that these other platforms, right? So you're a Twitch streamer, and you feel
I just get overwhelmed and go, I don't want to do any of it.
Exactly. I think that's why, like, we kind of answered this question a little bit, but if you can form the right habits, and you can find the right formulas to just kind of execute, you have a plan, then it kind of takes the pressure. You can take the pressure off a little bit from this macro scale and kind of like zoom in on the task that you need to do to fulfill the plan. This is kind of how I tackle things, right? It can be really overwhelming to try and like need to set up an entire project, a website, or like if you're going to try to do an electronics thing, you're going to repair it. It can look overwhelming. But if you just try to like solve the problem that's right in front of you, a piece at a time, each step, and that's the thing you're focusing on, then eventually you get like, let's say like a YouTube video, getting a YouTube video done. You solve the first step. Well, I got to turn my camera on. Just focus on the piece that you need to do in the moment to get to the final product. And if you're thinking about the editing and you're thinking about you're getting way too ahead of yourself, and you create all this pressure, and then you got the pressure of, oh, I got to be live today. Oh, I have all this stuff that I got to make a TikTok. You can't really look at it that way, because if you do, you're going to feel overwhelmed and you're not going to do anything, right? It's very easy to just kind of, it's like if your entire room is a mess, you can't look at it like that. Just clean what's in front of you. Clean one small section, and you don't have to dust the whole room. Dust here, right? There's dust here. Clean that up. Try to take it a little bit at a time, and so you don't get overwhelmed. Otherwise, it is overwhelming. It's like, I got too much to do. Well, don't do it all. You don't have to do it all at once. Take it kind of a piece at a time.
I wanted to respond to that in that I think I used to definitely feel that. I think I've stopped. I've started to see things a little bit differently in that what I've started to get, what I realized, and I always knew this, but now I'm being a little judgmental of it, is that, and it goes back to that culture thing. Have you ever noticed how it seems like people think that someone's viewer count or view count determines the value of their opinions or statements?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, obviously,
for some reason, you oh, buddy, you've only got 20 views. That means that you're not right. I said the sky is blue, and you said it's green. Just because you've got 50,000 viewers doesn't make it green. You're like, that's not true, And I find that very annoying. And I found myself going, I don't want to participate in this cultural behavior where you act as though view count means something of value, like it determines the value of the person. You know what I mean? Am I making sense there? I'm sort of being a little bit more esoteric in my...
You feel like being successful plays too big a role in people's egos, and that people feel...
People compare themselves to this stuff, right? So like when because you asked the question, do you feel that it puts the pressure on you? What I see as people is, and sure, feckless, whatever word you want to use, I don't think it matters in this conversation, is like there's people put more value in what they see as your success, popularity, whatever, than what you're doing, and people will put a um you're that pressure to do better often comes from an ego feeling that you are not producing something of value because you are not achieving this level of success. And I see it a lot. I see people say these things, not just like, I'm not just even talking about myself. When I talk to other people and I listen to them, and it's like I hear their ego going through this grinder as they're saying, well, I feel like I'm doing well, but then I'm not succeeding. And you don't look, and they are doing a pretty good job at whatever they're doing, but they're not succeeding. And then they compare themselves to someone who's not working very hard but is succeeding, and then they feel bad, and it's like, well, I don't think that's a real measurement of success or popularity or whatever word you want to use. I don't think it matters in this context which one you choose, right? It's putting value in the person because of a number, right? Versus the actual quality of what they do. Is a master artist not a master just because very few people saw his painting?
I'm gonna start calling myself a master artist.
Well, think about that, right? I'm serious.
No,
Is that
I totally agree with you, and I think that's interesting from that perspective, because you're absolutely right. These numbers create this like superficial clout in a way, right? If I say something that is absolutely factually true and may actually like save people's lives for whatever reason, and it helps 3 people, yet someone with 40,000 viewers is just, spewing a bunch of superficial stuff for 6 hours a day. They're more valued because of their reach rather than their impact on the individual. And, that we as a society are like that. I mean, it takes, sports ball players versus literal life-saving humans that go out and actually save people's lives, right? It's the human condition of the reach is more important than the impact.
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Well, and I don't know. I think I guess it's just something that bugs me that I noticed. So when you asked me the question, like, do I feel that pressure? I think at one point I did, but now I'm more like looking at it and going, it's kind of silly, I just don't think it's I don't think it's healthy to view things that way, and I don't think it's an accurate representation of much of anything, I mean, one of the things that I see as a strategy from certain people is that they just say a lot of like some of these people out there who I don't want to go into who they are too much, but the Andrew Tates and stuff, right? They say something super provocative and out there to like make you pay attention, and then they say a couple like things that like anyone would agree with, so so they actually sound reasonable and like they have a good idea, and then they get 1 million people following them, but they're not really doing anything of value, and they don't actually have anything of value to offer you except the idea of an idea, right? But they're already famous by then. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm just wondering, well, the pressure conversation was more about how it feels like personally to have to maybe perform, like be on while you're live, or like the idea of like putting feeling like you need to be choosing the right games and all that stuff, the stuff that kind of gets in your head about streaming. And like, it's kind of weird. We're in a weird spot. Content creation, whatever that means, being an entertainer online. Yeah. It used to be like people just kind of made whatever they wanted. They made what they wanted to make, and it just was good or it wasn't. And I feel like that's gotten lost over the years a little bit, and now there's like this weird, like, I don't know, looming. You need to be successful, and so that means you have to do things a certain way and be a certain way, and the creativity in the space kind of gets, I don't know, circumvented by the business aspect of being on the internet on Twitch or on YouTube and all that stuff. And so the soul of streaming is kind of like goes away. And I think we've all struggled with that to some degree. And when we finally figure out how to bring the soul back into what you're doing, and you just enjoy what you're doing and take the pressure off, is when you find a lot of relief, right? You did that, Skelly, right? Like you were like, God, I gotta get more, I gotta grow, and then you kind of shifted to, I gotta just play games and hang out with people. And
yeah.
So you took the pressure off in that way. And I think that's actually one of the most important things we can do in this space right now, is like try to bring back the life of what it means to be just a person doing cool stuff and sharing it with people online. I think there's room for it to be good, like produced well, and I think there's room for it to be like thoughtful and to have good habits to execute well. But you don't want to kind of trade the soul, the life of yourself as a streamer for just like success. And a lot of people who do that end up like what you were saying, where they just feel like it just feeds their ego, and then they're a soulless popular thing, and they think they're right about everything when they're kind of not. I don't know. Those are my thoughts. Do you guys have anything? We're going to wrap up, so if you have any little tidbits of advice or thoughts to kind of send us out on. Do you want to start, Meats?
Sure. The internet is hard. You gotta find what works for you, you know. And actually, to speak to the last thing that you just mentioned, I think that's a journey that I'm actually even like currently going through, is just figuring out content that's gonna make me happy and fit my life at the moment. And sometimes that you have to be kind to yourself in that sense, right? I still get people who, you know, really appreciate what I do and when I do it and how I do it. But I'm also trying to be kind to myself and create things that bring me joy. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing for you. It'll keep you happier longer.
Pickles?
Hello. What's going on? What's the question?
Pickles, you're on a podcast.
Oh,
We're talking about the internet and social media and platforms.
Just your final thoughts on everything we've discussed, and anything you want to maybe get out there that you didn't get a chance to say.
I don't know, man. I feel like I've recently come to approach creating things on the internet very differently because of the quote-unquote pressures of success and whatever success means. And I feel like that's the definition of success is different for different people. And I don't agree with the conceit that success means like fiscally lucrative or whatever, just because so many of these things are different pieces of the puzzle. So I think you can be successful on Twitch doing something that's entirely different than somebody else, even if you're not making money or reaching a certain number of views or whatever. Like I find like some people can use Twitch as their main thing, and some people can use it as a side thing.
Yeah.
Like for Skelly to shift into just using it purely to hang out with people and play video games, I feel like that's like kind of in the same area that I would like to use Twitch, you know, and I would pursue creating things on the internet in different avenues. And those avenues were afforded to me because of the way I have used Twitch previously, if that makes sense. Like I make money making art, and I make art for people that I've met through Twitch, but I'm not really focused on making my Twitch stream successful. Like I don't care to have my stream drive the things that I do on the internet. I just see it as an opportunity to hang out with the people I've met on the internet.
I think this is good. I think
So-
that's the right way to approach it because either you're driving what you do or what you do starts to drive you. And it can get away from you really fast. And it can kind of make you miserable to trade if you make that trade, right? You put the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
And I think everybody needs to approach this from like that. How can I like enjoy what I'm doing and not let this get away from me? Because it can very quickly become such a business that it drives you and you're no longer in charge. You're like along for the ride and you don't even like it anymore. You don't even like what you're doing. And I think a lot of us feel that, you'll start to head a direction on Twitch as a creator and you might see a little bit of success doing that thing, but you don't like where it's leading. And so you immediately like abandon ship and do something else because you know that if you keep going down that path, it's going to rule your existence. Right?
Yeah. I think to that point, with my point, is that I think it's more fulfilling to start from a place of doing something for yourself rather than doing it for a career or like the motivation of turning it into a business or something like that. Like start making on any platform, start making a thing that you like and then hope other people will like it too.
Yeah.
And then see what happens from there rather than I'm trying to make something that people will like.
Yeah.
I think that's ultimately what I mean by that.
Yeah, that's good. Skelly, you want to take us out?
Sure. So what exactly am I saying? Like Pickles kind of went on there for a minute. So what am I supposed to be saying?
Whatever you want about everything that we've talked about, just kind of your final thoughts on everything.
I don't know. I think that a lot of these topics are hard for me because the reality is I don't think it's all that deep for each of these subjects. Like platform, whatever. I think that I think that I kind of agree just with what Pickles just said, right? Like I think that at your core, I think you're going to have the best time if you start by making something for yourself, and if that turns into something, then great. If you do want to grow, if you do want to have more people see your stuff, I think there's some ways to do it. I don't think any of them are guaranteed, and I also don't think that not doing those things guarantees failure, which makes it really hard to talk about. And I think what Pickles just said was a lot what I was just trying to get at when I talked about the culture of what success means. But you guys didn't seem to much like my way of expressing that, but he said it exactly what I was trying to get at. And I think that for me, at least, a lot of that is, I think that you will be more successful when you feel more successful at making yourself feel good. I think when you feel good, that shines through. And so you need to do what feels good for you. And if it's not feeling good, then it's probably a waste of your time. Yeah. That's what I think.
That's good. I agree. Yeah. I think we dug deeper than maybe you give us credit for, Skelly. I think these topics, like, they're not really well thought out by most people. I think a lot of streamers, they overwork themselves, and they overthink everything, and they stay in a realm of just pressure. Back to that pressure idea, and that drives them too much instead of like passion. So let passion be the thing that drives you rather than pressure. I think that's kind of a good way to wrap that whole thing up. So anyway, thank you so much for joining us, Skeleton Man. If anybody wants to check out Skeleton Man, go to twitch.tv/TheGreatSkeletonMan. Thank you, each Meats and Highland Pickles. This has been the Infinite Quality Podcast. If you guys want to check out our website, it's infinitequality.live. You can go over there and find our previous podcast episodes, our YouTube videos, and a bunch of our streamers from our stream team. Check us out on YouTube. Look for Infinite Quality Live. And go ahead, eat your meats, do your thing.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell button. Thanks. Have Have a great night.